I'm deeply concerned because a vegan called Quest might be doing his live stream right now, and I really would love to be watching that. And I'm wondering if maybe since we since we're all each other's fans. Hey, good morning, the phlegm face. How are you? So first question is, can you hear me? Um, is Am I clear? Am I coming in okay? I'm not on Wi-Fi, so this is all just happening. Good morning, Mad Blender. So I'm just checking in to see if everybody can hear me loud and clear. It's a little windy out. Good morning. Good morning, Tom Hall. So nobody has indicated that you guys can actually hear me. So I could be just running my mouth here, or this could be all good. I don't think. Oh, thanks so much for the 50 likes, Phlegm Face. I hope you're well. I hope everybody's doing well. Um, NB. Yeah, it's NB. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, not bad, not bad, not bad. I figured it out. I figured that out on my own. So you're saying that that the sound is not bad. How about if I just talk louder? Is that better? I can try talking a little bit louder because, like, I'm not sure if, like, because this actually these earphones actually have a mic on them. Look at Jack jumping up on the table. You're getting on the table. Okay, all right. Um, yeah. So yeah. Okay. So I'll just be louder. All right. So anyway, y'all, I'm hanging out here. I'm in Ohio, and I don't know if you can see in the background, but I'm on a farm. I'm on a full-on farm. Hey, good morning, Mike on Raw. And so, you guys, I don't know if you've been catching anything on the channel recently, but um, I've been having some conversations with, well, not really conversations. I actually have been having conversations with foot soldiers. So I don't know, you guys um, may have caught that Foot Soldier has done a little bit of a trilogy, kind of focusing on social justice, but not really focusing on social justice, really questioning the legitimacy of African Americans who talk about, barriers in this country or racism, the effects of racism in the United States. And he also made a video where he looked at ISIS, the KKK, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and yeah, you know what? It's probably not. You're probably good for for avoiding it. Antifa, the Animal Liberation Front, and sort of pulled a Donald Trump. And Donald Trump basically tried to draw moral equivalencies between the KKK and neo Nazis and folks who were there protesting the presence of the KKK. And hey, Veganista 007, welcome. New sub. It's great to have you here. Um, I don't know. I feel like I might know you anyway, so it's good to see you. And you've got a little pig. I don't know if you were aware, but you have a little pig face at the end of your name. I don't know if anybody's seen that. Anyway, so this kind of has you know gotten me to want to look at the way we present information in our videos, to be a little bit more um, critical at the way we use things. It's been happening. I've noticed it's been happening. I found a lot of YouTubers in their discussions of topics just using random clips, things that support their argument, but not really discussing where those clips are coming from. And hey, Goldmorn, how are you? Welcome, and thank you for inviting 26 fans to the broadcast. As you guys can see at the background, I've already said I'm broadcasting outdoors. I don't have my computer set up. I'm actually en route to NYC. We're heading back to Brooklyn Thank you so much for the 100 likes. Yes, it's great to well, I can't see you, but it's great to have you in the room for the broadcast. And so like really been questioning this use of just these random clips, these random individuals who certainly are coming from a very like particular perspective, either like on the right or the left or what have you, as opposed to hello. Um, yeah, we are outside today. And it's great to be outside today. And I'm like again, I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. I'm being really loud. And what's really funny is this is the countryside. So who knows? My voice might be traveling for miles, but people are gonna have to deal with it. Anyway, so I'm talking about just the idea of using, random clips in our videos to support claims that we might be making about something. And I'm really finding myself really disturbed by that because I'm surprised at how quickly people accept whatever it is that they see. I guess because it's on the internet or because they, it's I don't know, the person could afford a camera, the person could afford to upload something to YouTube. So I guess they're credible, right? So really looking at how we decide on credibility. So I made a video last week called, how to recognize bullshit, or I think the title, the YouTube title is those lying vegans. And so, but what's interesting is that the conversation, yeah, I, yeah, it was fun to like make the video in response to Foot Soldier. I'm not sure it landed very well because he responded to me later on, and I'm gonna, talk about it. And who knows, there might be a collaboration between me and Foot Soldier. But I just want to be really clear on a couple of things. But before getting into a conversation with someone, I think that the people involved should at least decide on what is the truth, or at least have a baseline for truth. Because if we're simply entering a discussion and we haven't agreed on, say, for example, what the color red is, if the person comes into the room with something the color of that sky behind me and says, "This is red," and I'm going to explain to you why this is red, that's going to be a long, drawn out conversation. And it's likely going to be one sided, right? Because now we're going to be focusing on, defending this reality against this other person defending their reality. And they're allowed to say, well, I see it as red as much as they want to, right? And so we end up beating it. I don't want to say that's not very vegan of me, but beating a dead horse. Anyway, we end up doing that. Um, we end up just talking in circles because we haven't agreed that, okay, I don't know, I'm going to say that that's blue. The color behind me in the sky is blue. I'm going to say that that's blue. And if we can't just agree on the simple fact that that is blue, then we're not going to have a very productive conversation. And so, the example that I'm giving is if you're going to present footage of a crowd of people marching down the street saying, what do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it now? And say, hey, that proves that Black Lives Matter is violent, right? But the evidence has shown that that actually wasn't Black Lives Matter. That was another random group that ended up marching down the street long after the Black Lives Matter official event had ended, right? And they might have been turned up by Black Lives Matter. They might have been people who were like, "Yeah, I'm for Black Lives Matter. Let's go out in the street and protest." And yeah, I'm not saying that Black Lives Matter doesn't have anything to do with why those people went out into the street and said, "What do we want? Dead cops. What do we want now?" But you can't use that as evidence that Black Lives Matter is flawed any more than you can use, a white supremacist view of the world to talk about, people who fit the phenotypical, you know, what is phenotypically recognized as white, right? I wouldn't do that. Or we can't use the fact that there are some criminal cops and there are some violent cops, or there are some cops that abuse their privilege, to say that all police officers are that way. It would not be fair. But that argument can be flipped on its head, right? So if we can say that, the random acts of violence that might occur because people are juiced up by this idea of Black power, if we're going to use those incidents to indict Black power in general, then I think we're going to have a hard time having a conversation. So that's kind of what I was interested in talking about and hearing from you. Obviously, as always, thanks for becoming a fan, Veganista. Uh, every time I look at your name, Veganista, I think of Vegan Sista, who's not here right now, but it's okay. Although, we miss Vegan Sister when Vegan Sister is not here. Anyway, so all that said, I'm interested in having a conversation about that. If you guys are interested in having a conversation about that, you guys should know that I'm on my phone. I'm happy to do guesting with folks today, but I'm probably going to need somebody to type in the instructions on how to guest someone from an iPhone. So that's another thing. So, I mean, that's it. So, what do you guys think about that? Um, so someone has said, and you guys have to forgive me because so Goldmore, I'm on the same wave regarding the context or out of usage in debate. Yeah, cool. And like I said, I'd love to. Okay, Matt Blender is saying, I find that it's easy to get bogged down with statistics when in reality, stats can certainly be presented to support any side. And I think that that's something key to talk about here. And so, I'm considering having some kind of a, what do you think of vegan YouTube right now? Um, Honestly, I'm actually feeling a lot better about vegan YouTube these days. And it means like the conversations that had been dominating uh, in the past few months, I feel like enough folks like you, the phlegm face, and others here in the space, um, certainly Goldmorn, there are folks who are out there having conversations that are not at all driven by the drama. They may talk about, they may include aspects of what is being blown up into drama, but those conversations are so diverse, right? And they pull in so many other aspects of people's lives that it has made, I think, the YouTube vegan space a lot more interesting, a lot more interesting. And I feel like there are some folks who we're seeing their channels grow and get more attention, who are talking about some really interesting things, and I kind of have to give it to I love a lot of the work, but I have to kind of give it to Mod Vegan, who's really starting to create a brand for herself on YouTube, as really being someone who is asking challenging questions that are like sometimes a little bit out of left field, but they make being vegan seem so much more interesting. It's like, okay, we can have conversations about nostalgia. We don't have to necessarily be having a conversation about, what's on our plates or how we feel about what's on our plates or, speaking, specifically about like why vegan being a vegan is good, because sometimes they're a challenge. um, uh, you said I remember when Mod Vegan was commenting on my vids when just starting out building her audience. Don't see her commenting now. That's none of my business. I'm gonna say Goldmore, and I don't know about you, but what I've noticed is like the more I'm really trying to put out good content, the more that I'm thinking about putting out good content and trying to produce good content, the less I get to watch other people's videos. And this really sucks because, like, I may only get to other people's channels a few times a year now because there are just so many people that I want to support. And I don't want to just like stop in and watch a video, but I usually will go, like, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'll go and I'll watch like 3 or 4 of your videos, like in a day, and just have it be a day about like watching your channel to kind of see where you are and then not get back there for months. And it'll be like a way for me to catch up. And that's really been true, I think, across the board. And so I don't necessarily see content creators that are putting out a lot of content as, I don't see it as a flaw for them not to watch videos as much, but it is part of the job. It is part of the job to know what people are talking about. So like not it's like six of one, half a dozen of the other. Like it's almost impossible to watch all the videos, right? It's very difficult to do that. But if you're a one person shop, you know, you got to do it all. So, yeah. So what I see end up happening is like some of us just fall off for a couple of months or for a month or whatever and just stop producing. Yeah, Goldmorn says, yeah, since 2006, I haven't seen YouTube as a job, but a form of conversation, sharing, and expression. I'm probably somewhere closer to you because my work, like I don't make any money from YouTube, and I'm going to tell you, I mean, put it this way, my videos may um, earn for their advertiser AdSense dollars, but I've never collected a check from YouTube. And that just might be my laziness, right? From Google. I've never collected a check because to me, it's more of a hassle to have to figure out how to get $32, how to get $32 than to just keep doing what I'm doing. It's like to me, if it were, you know, even $100, then maybe it would be worth figuring out, oh, how do I get that and how to, but like, I get residual checks sometimes, you guys, from television episodes that I did, like, you know, at this point, like 20 years ago. I get residual checks for them. And if that check is less than like $50, I don't even bother because it's like the energy to actually, deposit the check and do all this other stuff, or I let a few collect. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it's not worth it to me to cash a check for $2, to even cash a check for $2, which is terrible because I probably am losing in my lifetime. I'll probably end up losing, a few $100s from not doing that. But I want to go outside and play. I don't want to be like doing banking stuff if I don't have to. Yeah, so it looks like so Blender, Phlegm Face. Yeah, so there are a few of us who are in the same place where we've never collected, checks, and I think that it's true. So Goldmore, and I think that a lot of us are with you, and that this isn't our job. This is what we do. It's another way to connect to people. It's another way to have conversations that we find compelling. Um, Another way to make friends. So those things are great. Paul K says, "I'll cash it for you." All right, baby. Okay, okay. Goldmar says, "Thank you, Reg, but I mean, it's not like I can hate on people who do it for work. I mean, who wouldn't want to?" Yeah, and I didn't take it that way at all. I think it's just the reality of, where we are and why we do this work. And I think that in some ways, because I think even Mod Vegan, I don't know that this is what Mod Vegan does for work. Mod Vegan's channel isn't, I don't think, anywhere near as large as it would need to be to sustain her and, with a family with two children. I don't think that that's, so uh, but it's not so much the idea of it as a job, but the commitment to sustaining, a regular um, schedule of posting videos to really stay engaged in those conversations, right? And in some ways, like these are friendships for me. These are like relationships that I'm building with people. And, I have trouble maintaining relationships and seeing like the friends that I might have in the, in the that I can physically go and visit, right? But so for me, the fact that it's not my job doesn't mean that I don't want to put out quality content. And I don't want to lie to y'all, and I don't want to mislead people with what I'm putting out there. Good morning, Michelangelo Argelio. I'm not sure exactly how to say your last name, and please fix me if I'm wrong. Michael and Ross says, I have two channels, one that has been dead for 2 years. It gets more revenue than my current one. Oh my goodness, man. I want to know about that. And by the way, y'all, I mean, you guys have been kind of holding back, but I do, if someone is interested in guesting, I'd like to, even though I don't know how to do it, I'd like to try it. And so I'm totally willing to do what is necessary to get somebody up here guesting if somebody has something that they'd want to talk about. And I'd love to have all of you. This room is full of amazing content creators right now, so really, really, really grateful to have you all here. Um, and I hope if you guys don't follow each other and aren't aware of each other, that Mike on Raw is in the room, who has a channel with some um, uh, really in-depth, thoughtful conversations going on about veganism, but just about life in the world in general. Um, and Goldmorn as well has a channel where you do a fair amount of vlogging, just kind of like taking us through your life, what's going on. I know that you had a recent move, and I haven't caught up with your channel since you actually moved to figure out where you are. The Phlegm Face also has a really thoughtful channel. I think what happens, what a lot of these channels have in common, and that I like them, is that they're cultural critiques. They look at the world and they question why things are the way they are, not simply about maintaining the status quo and trying to stay au courant, but really trying to um, interrogate life and figure out ways that life could be better for people. Goldmorn says, Reg, thanks. I'm in Toronto now. My channel is all over the place. Yeah, I love it. Um, Funface says, I was just like, LOL, get a grip. Okay, wait. This is two part for the Funface. I just got to a point where I was spending so much time that self-entitlement set in. I was like, why does nobody care? And people didn't notice me go. And I was like, LOL, get a grip, and had to leave for some reality check. Um, I'd love to hear more about that. I'd love to hear more about that, Phlegm Face. I think just because, and maybe that's a good place for us to go today, since it seems like we have some folks in the room to have that conversation. But why do we do this? Why do we do this? And why do we do this even in spite of the fact that maybe people don't necessarily care about it? Um, why do we put up with some of the harassment that comes along with this? Veganista says, I find that there are different levels of vegan YouTubes, drama vegans YouTubes versus informative and articulate YouTubers. Yeah, I kind of would agree. And I think that there's obviously, you know, I don't want to necessarily say that it's, drama over here and informative and articulate uh, YouTubers, because I think that there's like we have all of this stuff going on. We have people who are interested in drama, and sometimes that's fun. So it's necessarily one or the other. And sometimes people who are interested in drama can be very informative and be very articulate. But it's very different when someone who's just interested in drama and is not articulate and is not informative, and they just kind of throw stuff at you for the sake of throwing stuff at you. Um, and then oh, by the way, thank you, White Crook, for the 10 likes. um yeah, vegan, wait, stop. uh Goldmorn says, what Veganista said, yes. And then Goldmorn goes on to say, and even more, like the subtle just inserting bits in their vids, living their lives. Yeah, so that's like another that's a great example, Goldmorn, where that's not necessarily about drama, and it's not necessarily about being informative, um, or thoughtful. Sometimes somebody's just like, here's my day to day, right? There's also people who, and I guess you could consider it informative, but there are people who just um, like cheap lazy vegan just shows you how to make food. just just shows you how to make food. And I think that that's important, right? And sometimes we want that. Sometimes the conversation is about how we can find ways to be more sustainable in other areas of our life, other than just the way that we things that we put in our on our plate. If your focus is on sustainability, if your focus is on, like, say, social justice, we can look at the ways that we can be just in other areas of our lives, not just the way we want to see animals treated. The fun face says, plus probably because ideas being affirmed affirms our existence. Oh yeah, yeah, a lot of that, huh? But that's still, I mean, even with that though, and I don't know what anybody else's situation. Wait, Flumface says I just watched Bad Mouse Productions video on Venezuela, and that was interesting. Oh, cool. And I don't know if you guys know that if you ever want to email me something, because I'm not sure how we do that on YouNow, but if you ever want to email something, you can just send it to ASKME ask me one at regflowers.com, and that's REGF as in Frank LOWERS as in Sam dot com. And that's just a way to reach me. And that information is available like in the about section on my YouTube channel. If you ever want to just send me a private email with like a lot of stuff, I don't always get the messages through YouTube. I don't check them nearly often enough. And I've missed things and had people upset because I've missed things. But it's a great way. If you ever want to like share links, I would love that. So if you wanna fire off an email to me there, I'm gonna write it in the chat here. This is so funny having this tiny device to do everything. But okay, it's working out. All right, so uh, Tom Hall says saw Bad Mouse Ben Vid 2, very good. Yeah, so I will check it out. Um, but of course, I don't have any way to make a note of that. So if somebody does want to send me a link to that video at that address, that would be awesome. Um, I am on Facebook. I don't know if we are linked on Facebook. It might be. I don't I try to check my Facebook messages. I'm not super good at checking my Facebook messages, but if you can always connect to me at Reg Flowers. That's just my name, Reg Flowers. That's my Facebook. And I post I mostly post from my Instagram onto my Facebook. Every now and then I do an update or something like that, but I do most of my social media activity is right here is on YouTube actually. So that's really the best place if you're trying to connect to me. I even end up like the comment section. Somebody sent me a message in the comment section, and I got to that before I got to my own email. So somebody's saying, what social media do you use the most? I use YouTube is like, I check my YouTube notifications at least once an hour when I'm like checking those things. Obviously, I don't do it in my sleep and I don't do it while actually, I do it when I'm like just like relaxing watching television. I'm usually using the time that I'm relaxing watching television to respond to comments. Because I don't know if you people have noticed it, but I try to respond to every comment that I get on YouTube. I consider it like email. So let me see. So a couple of things went by. I'm usually on Twitter if it helps. Yeah, I don't. I could follow you on Twitter and then I'll get notifications when you do tweet things. Um, let me see. Okay, Mad Blender has apparently been hooked on your Twitter feed. So yeah, I might need to connect to you on Twitter so that I can find out what's going on there. Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if other people have figured this out, but like you can have your one social media update on like all the rest of your social media. So I don't know if that's possible to do with Twitter, but that would be cool. I'm trying to get to Michelangelo says my country is torn between two models of politicians, and that should not have anything wrong. But the reality is that debate to ruin a beautiful nation. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I might want to dig in there and follow a little bit. I feel like I've been following a little bit about what's going on in Venezuela, particularly the way that the U.S. has been involved in what's happening there, and I believe that's the country that's the country that you're in, Venezuela. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems that there's um, it says the country is torn between two models of politicians, and I'm wondering like you know, it seems like this would be a great opportunity for you to come on and maybe guest and talk about that just to fill everyone in on what's going on. Um, All right, so cool. Connections being made down here in the chat. I noticed that Flemface and Mad Blender have made commitments to stay connected. That's awesome. I'm glad that I could facilitate that. Cool. So again, so there are several threads of conversations that I think we're picking up. One is the situation in Venezuela right now, and maybe getting an update if we could have someone guest. And again, I want to see, like, if I just click on someone. All right, I see that I can click on any of your profiles and bring you on. So, Miguel, uh, Miguel, Miguel Angel, would you be opposed to guesting? Because I can do that. I would love to have you come on and just talk a little bit about the situation. How about this? I'm going to invite you, and if you turn it down, that's cool. That might be the easiest thing to do. So right now, I'm trying to see if we can get Miguel Angel to come on and talk a little bit about what's going on in Venezuela. That would be amazing if that can happen. If not, maybe I'll just invite some of you guys just, randomly. I usually stay on for an hour. And I think today I pretty much have to stick to that because I'm at my in-laws' house right now. So, no, yeah. So, um, do you have to go, Flemface? If you do have to go, it might be fun to have you on just for a second. I'd love to maybe spend the next half an hour or the second half of the video. Miguel Angel says, my older brother moved to the USA last year looking for a better future, and it's true that he is better economically, but on the other hand, he feels dejected to be so far from his beloved land. How ironic. Um, yeah, I think that there is irony there. But when we look at what we call the global economy, I always find it interesting when people from one country that has a relation to the U.S., for example, moves to the U.S. because there is this idea of more opportunity. Uh, and then finds themselves sort of alienated in that experience. I I don't have as much experience with people from Venezuela, but I know, for example, that there are relations there's a connection between the economy in Mexico, for example, and the economy in the U.S. And so it almost makes sense that there should be people freely moving across the border. We're getting a fair amount of our oil from Mexico. Um, we're doing a fair amount of there's a fair amount of industry that people in the United States. We get a fair amount of our food from from Mexico, right? So it it only makes sense that we have economies that are linked. So why is it that people feel like, oh, but we can take your food, we can take your oil, we can set up shops and exploit the low wage of your workers, but don't try to come and live here. And I feel that the same is true with like the U.S. and I've been having like a lot of really responding really poorly to people who talk about, say, like white nationalism, for example. And the joke of white nationalism is that you know the the Western reach is to the world. So even if, say, the United States were a 100% white identifying population, you'd still have U.S. influence in places where there aren't a majority of people who identify as white. So it just becomes such a foolish converse, a foolish debate. Um, the United States could not survive without uh, access to resources from all over the world, unless we want to eat, I don't know, snow. I don't know, in the wintertime. I don't know. But yeah, I would love to invite you guys. So Goldmorn, I want to see, how are you doing? Are you feeling up to chatting a little bit? If so, I would love to have you jump on. We haven't had a chat for a little while. Oh, yeah, Jamas are great. You guys, if I could show you, I'm in my Yale t-shirt today, but it's torn under the armpit, and I'm wearing shorts in my
Hi.
case. Oh, hey, how are you?
It's been forever.
Amber,
I'm much
what's
more
up?
self-conscious in talking than I am typing. I have
Yeah.
something
Well,
to.
what's up? Introduce
I'm
yourself
too.
to the people.
I'm too lighted out here. Sorry. Can you tell I'm nervous?
Not at all. Not at
It's
all.
strange
I
before
don't
I even
know.
type
Can
in
you tell I'm nervous?
the whiteout. How white I'm looking. I'm in front of a big window, so it's not very good for lighting. I apologize.
You look great. I can see you. I can see your eyes. I can see your
I
face.
know. I'm gonna try and shift away from the window, but
Okay.
the we don't have curtains. We moved to a new apartment in Toronto, and the skyline is right there, and they're big windows with the clouds and
Oh,
everything. It's
wow.
very
So I'm
so.
guessing you're high enough up that people can't just casually walk by and
No,
peer
I'm
in.
on the 19th floor, so nobody's walking by.
Okay. And if they are, worry.
That's gonna be freaky, and that's going on YouTube.
For the people who don't know you, introduce yourself. Just like tell them a little bit about who you are and about your channel and how we know
Yeah,
each
I
other.
must seem very bizarre. Well, clearly, I don't know anything about lighting. Right?
Uh-huh.
uh, I've just been on YouTube a long time. I'm more like a fan of YouTube than a content creator. Although I put a lot of content on my channel, I'm just putting up vlogs since 2006, right?
Hmm.
So, but I came into veganism about a year or so ago, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm gonna admit, drama has its place because it did attract people into the community. Let's not deny that it brought a lot of us into the conversation, right?
Hmm.
Which is unfortunate, but I do think that eventually, for some of us, it gets a bit tiresome.
You're
And
talking about the drama.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Because eventually it's like, okay, we've like when it becomes attacking each other, I
Hmm.
feel like we're totally like right now, for instance, just to be timely and in the Toronto vegan thing on Facebook, somebody shared how one of the subway stations is plastered with milk dairy ads. It's everywhere. And when an ad campaign happens, it's on every pole, it's on the walls. I mean, the
Hmm.
dairy industry is running scared right now
Hmm.
because obviously we're being affected right now. Veganism is becoming more mainstream.
Hmm.
Let's not deny it's partly due to the influence of YouTubers.
Oh,
And I'm going to
I'm,
say,
I'm sure. I mean, that's it's been the only, it's been the only like media outlet
yeah, it's
for
hitting the
veganism, right?
demographic, right? It's hitting the
Hmm.
a large audience, right? And they know it and they're scared. We're affecting the consumer market, which is where, yes, I admit, like mod vegan and similar people, they do affect, having that sort of talking about the way, I remember a video she just recently did talking about how you should be buying products and asking to have the products veganized if there's some dairy in it. I'm
Yeah.
somewhat
Yeah, I
attached.
thought that I really I'm gonna say I just want to I'm gonna call out that I saw that video. I thought it was wonderful. And for those who haven't watched, Mod Vegan made a video specifically looking at ways like effective things that you can be doing as a vegan to transform the world. And one of those things is if you know of a company that's making a product that is
Mhm.
one ingredient away from
Yeah, it's so
being
frustrating.
vegan to
Good.
write to them because it could make a change. And I think that Mod Vegan had some success with a nugget that I think was being made by Morningstar.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
her and her kids are big fans of like the nugget. Usually, it's I don't want to even talk about it, right? But
yeah. That's
usually those nuggets are made from animals. But the company stopped using a binding agent. Stopped using egg as the binding agent and started using a vegan binding agent. And now that product is
that
vegan.
easy.
It was a great video,
It's
absolutely.
yeah.
Uh,
So like I'm not. I didn't mean to diss earlier. I just meant like. I guess I wonder. We put so much emphasis on the drama sometimes here, but we admit some of it pulls us in, and different things pull people in. I mean, yesterday I was listening to Happy Healthy Vegan Ryan talking about in his stream
Hmm.
about because he's got this beef. Sorry, beaten
Hmm.
dead with Unnatural Vegan, and there's this back and forth, and the whole video was like it was going on and on about it, and I just think I think there's a place for us all in our different
Hmm.
ways, but there's a point where you're wondering, okay, is the horse dead yet, and are we actually doing any good in that area if we're just going back and forth against each other?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, you could
Yeah.
go.
Well, see,
But
I'm hearing that, and I'm a little bit torn. I think one thing that's different about the happy, healthy, vegan, uh, uh, unnatural vegan debate is what they're talking about is a worthy topic, right? So it's like I could hear them go on about
yeah,
the
yeah,
way science is presented in films like What the Health. I could listen to people have this discussion because in some ways we learn how to have that debate by watching other people having that debate. Fortunately, it's not about not that I'm a prude about sex, but it's not just about like who's having sex with who, right? It's
yeah.
drama. It's a conflict that is important, I think, in the for the future of veganism and for the future of the planet, especially like and the health of human beings, right? So even though it's drama,
But they're attacking
I
each other's character. It gets to the point
yeah,
where go past
that's where
and attack each other's
it
character.
starts to
That's where
go.
I'm worried about vegan YouTubers. Like, let's stop. Didn't we already do that like a year ago?
Yeah, I think, and that's where, and I you have to forgive me because I'm talking about it assuming that I know what they're actually talking about when they talk. But when it does go into like personal things that shouldn't be
Yeah.
even on the table, then I feel like that's where it starts to go down the drain. Unfortunately, I think it's a question of skill and that we have folks who are creating content, self included.
Yeah.
Well,
You make so
self
many
included to an
videos.
extent,
You're not,
that
but
don't have any experience in how to have a dialogue, right? They don't have experience in how to engage in a debate. So they just the gloves come off and everybody like has read, we can easily Wikipedia and like learn about things like learn things about logical fallacies and things like that, but not know at all, you know, be aware of how we're doing it ourselves, right? So I think that some of it is just that the skill set's not there for people to have a debate without getting like taking it personally. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're correct. I mean, I even have to practice my listening skills. I interrupt people too much. So I mean, we all have a lot of skills we have to learn, right? Even within the community. And since a lot of us were not exactly out in the community like yourself, I think that you're probably right. There is something beneficial to people who are talking articulately about the topics, debating each other, and having different sides. We do need
Hmm.
to learn to. I guess I just worry about how I worry about too many things about how it can be a distraction when clearly the dairy industry is on the defense.
Hmm.
There's articles trying to make us feel guilty about farmers committing suicide in France because of not enough people buying dairy, whereas we're not saying, hey, there was already this issue even in North America when you guys developed factory farms and took a lot of the smaller industry from farmers who'd been doing it for a long time and they were committing suicide. So the problem isn't us, it's the industry. And maybe you just need to show them a different way of, take them to plant crops. I mean, we're not talking about that. We're just going at each other a bit and forgetting that we're making progress and we need to get out there and keep pushing with that progress. Like you're one of the most articulate channels that talks about social justice issues and vegan relevance and stuff within the actual community you live in real life. And your channel isn't I'm not sucking up to you, but your channel is not up there compared to what it should be within the vegan world. You know what I mean? Especially for YouTube, because people, unfortunately, we are too attracted to like the drama stuff, or even vegans attacking each other over listening to people say, "This is how you can be effective in your community. This is what you can do," or do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure you
Hmm.
felt that frustration yourself when you know how to make videos and that you have stuff to offer.
Well, first, thank you for saying that. That's very kind, and
It's true.
I do try to have a space that makes people comfortable engaging in conversations, and so that's very important to me, and to get that feedback from you is really great. It's really great. Thank you.
Hmm.
Um,
Sure.
the In terms of reach, right? The reach of a channel like this, because there's not, you have to be interested. You have to already be there. Like
Yeah.
I used to say, this isn't a 101 class. Like this channel is not a one-on-one class. You kind of have to already be there.
Mhm.
You have to have to have a certain level, critical consciousness, critical thinking already to even get any pleasure out of this channel, because this channel is like asking you to question pretty much everything about your life. And I'm not necessarily saying that those things are bad, but I'm saying, hey, let's look at everything. Let's take this whole thing apart. And I don't mean it like in a violent way, like blow it up, but like let's take this whole thing apart and see if there's not something at the in the foundation that's causing this not to function as well as possible, right? So you have to be in a certain place already to even want to engage in that conversation, which is why I am so grateful for every person. Matt Blender, thank you for the 400 likes. I'm so grateful for every person who watches this channel, because I know that you're few, few and far between, right? I know that you're few and far
Yeah.
between. But my sense is that as people become more aware that something is just not right, a willingness to question will grow, and then maybe more people will watch the channel. But in the meantime, I get to be having this discussion and sharpening my own skills as far as ways to have this discussion, even with people who are on the opposite side of a political spectrum, who have very different backgrounds. I mean, I
Right.
don't know your whole life, but I imagine that we've probably been to places and seen people and had very, very different experiences, right? But we can find a place to connect that feels, really comfortable and like, exciting, right? And makes me, I get a lot of joy from that. So, yeah. Veganista was saying, I became vegan after listening to Colleen Patrick Goudreau, who's another, I don't know if you, are you, what, do you know Colleen Patrick Goudreau?
I don't know, but that's what's the screen name again? Um,
I think I think
she
that channel. I think that.
her yesterday. She's still going because at the end of Cowspiracy, she offered a 30-day. Um, she has a podcast called Food for Thought, and she's more about the
Ah,
compassion spectrum. And she's actually fantastic. She's part of when I transitioned because
okay.
that spoke to me. I'm gonna go off your feed so you can take up your screen again, but I'll just find her. I really wanted to type it, but I didn't want to type over you. At Joyful Vegan on Twitter. She's she's not in the vegan YouTube drama stuff at all. She's stayed out of it, but
Uh,
she was at the tail end of Cowspiracy for a free course, but I didn't really take it. But I really find her. You don't have to be perfect to be vegan, and her compassionate approach. She's really interesting, but she's not participating in all the YouTube drama stuff. So
yeah, I
veganist.
agree, and I agree, and I've enjoyed what I've watched of Colleen Patrick Goudreau on YouTube. And
Yeah.
it's almost like when I'm watching a Colleen Patrick Goudreau video, I'm reminded of this kind of safety I feel when I've gone like to see a therapist. It's
Yeah.
like, take away all the distractions. Let's create a space where we're just going to focus on what we're here to work on, which is being
Yeah.
vegan. We're just going to work on that. We're not going to like try to, work out like the issues that you have with your family right now, right now, right now, right. So Yes.
having me on. I'm
And
gonna
so, what did you call it? What did you say was the you said a joyful vegan?
at Joyful Vegan on Twitter, but you'll
At
find me
Joyful
under that
Vegan.
name
Okay, so that's the Twitter
on.
channel. So I might be doing some following of some folks on Twitter. I just want to get down because there've been
I'm
some.
gonna
The
leave
comment
now.
section has been buzzing, and I'm just wondering if any of these are questions for us. Okay, so people clarified that it was the vegan video on slacktivism. Oh no! Oh no! Amber went away. Okay, Amber left. Amber, thank you so much for joining us. I was hoping that we'd get some final words from you, but anyway, that's fine. We're doing great here. We're about at the 50-minute mark. Oh, okay, yes, absolutely. Thank you. Like I said, thank you again for the really kind, loving words. Thank you for being who you are, and for the weather is absolutely beautiful. And Omski joined us, so thank you. Welcome, Omski. Thank you also, Omski, for the 10 likes. Um, Veganista says Reg is articulate and rational. So compliment. Thank you for that compliment, Veganista. Um, uh, yeah, so Omski, yes, the weather gorgeous here right now. I'm told that it's gonna be 78 degrees here. But yeah, so like I said, on I'm sitting out here on a big old farm, and we'll talk about that more. But we'll talk more about that. Um, uh, oh, please, you're welcome. So Goldborn says I can type a reply if anybody has any questions. And absolutely, you are absolutely welcome, and it was a joy to have you. Thank you for adding to the content. I always feel like these. I always feel like these live streams are they're more fun for me when I get to at least have a conversation back and forth with someone. Um, and I'm wondering, Omski, where are you? Are you and the phlegm face in the same place? I'm I'm under the assumption somewhere in Europe, but I could be wrong. Oh, please, yes, absolutely. Goldmorn, yes, absolutely. And I just want to just in terms of um, I've I've I'm a perform I have performance in my background, and I I'm very practiced on presenting myself to people, but I'm having all kinds of feelings inside of me while I'm doing it. So things like nervousness, being unsure, like can people hear me? Is anybody just cared? Like I feel like I don't know want to say like because we all have different like experiences, right? But I have all kinds of things happening inside me, even though it might seem like I like this is so I appreciate when you guys share with me like the feelings that you have getting on. Like to me that's part of it as well, right? And I think there's nothing more brave um, and beautiful than when someone speaks in spite of the fact that it is so terrifying. We live in a world where it's terrifying to express an opinion, where you are, so quickly ridiculed for expressing opinion if it is not something that goes in line with just the status quo, right? So it's such a beautiful thing. And so to me, when I see all of you guesting on the channel, I see an incredibly beautiful person. I only see an incredibly beautiful person. So when you guys are telling me about like lighting stuff and your hair and stuff, I don't see any of that because I'm like, this person is here. So absolutely. So so I don't want anyone ever to feel like, they have to be presenting something perfect to guest on the channel. Guests on the channel. You can be naked and guest on this channel. In fact, I prefer that you were naked guesting on the channel. Um, yes, yes. Okay. So I just got you guys. I just got a warning saying that my battery might be dying. So I know that we are about 5 minutes by of a full hour. But I'm going to take the time to say something before I close out in case my phone just shuts off. Um, so yes, this conversation that I would like to pick up this conversation about why do we do this, and maybe talk to some other YouTube content creators and get some answers about that, and then maybe present a video that just talks about like why people do this, and who knows, maybe there's a collaboration video where if people would like to make a small clip and then send it to me, I can compile all of them and do a video just talking about like why do we do this, especially as relatively small YouTubers. What do I mean, relatively? As small YouTubers, as small people with small channels. So I would love to do that. So that's something that I'll pick up that conversation. I do plan on making some more response videos to Foot Soldier. There was a video clip that he posted that I had already known had been discussed and like you know uh, that had already been kind of debunked. It was like this group of people like went out and they started chanting some pretty horrendous things, and it was already Black Lives Matter already kind of came out and spoke against that. And I think people don't know that. So I really want to do another video looking at Black Lives Matter, specifically at the memes that are out there about Black Lives Matter, and really not necessarily about debunking them, but why those memes might exist and how those memes parallel memes that have existed about Black people in general for years. Yes, please do. Like those of you who are here on the channel now, those of you who watch this video on YouTube, if you're a content creator, please do send me a clip. You can send it to me at Ask Me One. What I also might do is make a Google folder or something, or make a place where people can upload them. But send it to me, and I'll compile them. Try to keep it. Try to keep it somewhere like 30 seconds to a minute, and then that way I won't edit it. I'll just put the whole thing. If it's longer than that, I don't know. I don't necessarily. It doesn't have to be a short thing. You know what? Don't worry about it. Just talk and send it to me. If the file is small enough to get to me, then it's fine. I mean, the file size is small enough for you to be able to send it to me, then it should be fine. So yeah, so I also keep promising to do some more reviews for you guys. So I am going to be doing some more reviews coming up in the next few weeks. I'm going to be back in Brooklyn for 3 months, so you're going to be catching more of me doing my thing that I do when I'm in Brooklyn. So yeah, so that's that. Um, oh, hold on a second. This is what we're going to do. So, before we go off, so now that I've said all those things, I'm going to see if we might be able to chat a little bit, at least say hello to the phlegm face before I go. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, hey, are you there? I'm not seeing you. Do we have audio for you?
You should do. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hey. You won't be able to see me, but that's okay.
I can't see you, but I can hear you. So how's it going? So we started having a little bit of a conversation. Um, Yeah, I would. Veganista is asking about how about some mukbangs. Yes, absolutely. I will do some more of those. It's been a while, um, but yeah, I like doing them. And I was doing them with tea when I was in Brooklyn, and I think the place in Brooklyn is just a little bit more conducive to that, just because it's not as busy. There's not as many people running around. So yeah, we'll do that. So how are you? And for those who don't know you, just introduce yourself to the folks.
Oh yeah, I'm the phlegm face. I kind of do YouTube. I've been doing it for a while. I just do, I don't know, commentary that's not very serious. Maybe it's probably the best way to explain it. But I've been away for a bit. I've stopped doing YouTube for about I think maybe 3 weeks now, and I don't know if I'm gonna come back, but we'll see. But I've been good. I live in Edinburgh now, so I live in Scotland.
Okay.
Um, and I've just been trying to merge in with the crew there. I've had no luck as of yet finding vegans because it's kind of lonely without them. But I'm getting there. How are are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a summer. It's
Mm,
been I've been very very busy. I did want to ask you a question about Edinburgh. It was a busy summer. It slowed down a little bit there towards the end, but I don't know. I find a way like my life abhors a vacuum, and so if there's empty space, I'll fill it generally with something.
mm-hmm.
So I ended up taking a couple of trips. I ended up going to Minneapolis. I ended up going to Chicago to do some more of this TO work that I do. But I've been well. I also slowed down a lot in terms of content, creating content. Um, yeah, and so now the question about did you just move to Edinburgh or had you been there?
I moved 2 months ago. As of this
Wow, that's
podcast.
huge.
Yeah, I moved 2 months ago.
Where were you living before?
I was living in Cheltenham in England. I was doing uni. Haven't got my results back yet. But yeah, I moved here and it's been really hectic because we had something called the Fringe. Don't know if you might have heard of it. It's quite big. It's the Fringe Festival, and it was so
Of course, I've heard of
crazy.
the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Yeah.
It's like,
um,
that's like everybody's that's on everybody's bucket list.
yeah, that's everybody
So,
came.
in fact, don't be surprised if you see me. I mean, don't be surprised if you catch me at Edinburgh next year for the Fringe Fest. I've never had a piece that I would thought was like worthy of going to the Fringe Fest, but I actually now that I've written a musical, that you might see me there. So anyway,
It
and
seems
I,
like one of those things where you
how
just
big
have
is your
to.
couch?
How big is? But yeah, no, it it's like it's absolutely abysmal. Like there's so many people because I work at a vegetarian cafe. It
Okay,
was nice. I was getting hours, like lots of hours, because there's so many people. But now it's just gone dead. Party at Plug's house.
right.
Yeah,
And
but
so I'm
then I
imagining that
ran
was
that.
so when you moved, was it did you move during the build up to the festival? So maybe the energy was very different than what it's maybe going to be most of the time. I don't know.
I didn't move during to the build up. I just started my job to the build up, and I just kind of had to learn quite quickly. Um, but yeah, I work at a like a vegetarian chain. Well, they're not really a chain, but they've built their way up. They own it, and they've got now 5 businesses in Edinburgh. So it's kind of a chain now, but that's good. At least it's vegetarian. But
Mm-hmm.
they do a lot of vegan options, so I get to have salad all day. It's quite good, but I
Nice.
just work so much that my kind of social media life just kind of had to take a halt. But then
Mm-hmm.
I realised that there were a lot of flaws within that social media life, so I suppose it was quite good that I've come away from it.
Mm-hmm.
uh, no, like I don't know how you know because you make content and you make a lot of content. I don't know if you've ever had you've realised in a moment that you've been spending hours on content, and then you've found yourself thinking, why does nobody care? And then you've realised that you're getting really self entitled and that you're expecting more, and it's no longer just something that's fun. That's kind of where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yes. I
Uh,
mean, I can't obviously, you're however you're experiencing those things is going to be, unique for you.
mm,
But yeah, yeah. I mean, I do, I do end up making a lot of content. Um, but I have the luxury of time to make that content most of the time because I work for myself.
oh yeah.
And I find and I consider, even though I don't consider making videos my work, I feel that the research that goes into making the videos serves me in my work. So it's not time that I'm not grateful for.
Yeah.
In fact, I ended up writing an entire play based on research that I'd been doing, and it started with research on some videos that I did, about a year and a half ago. But I do find myself being like, why aren't there were I was getting 30 new subscribers a day. What happened? Why suddenly am I losing subscribers or what have you? Um, but so my question is like, how do you come back from it, or how have you, or do you feel like you are struggling now at this moment to come back from it?
Yeah, I'm in that kind of moment of how do I come back from it? That is the question. It's like, should I even? Because I was thinking, oh, in my head, maybe if people are maybe upset that I'm gone, or if someone, gets a bit annoyed about it, then maybe, oh, I affect people. But I think it was like a feeling of it's supposed to be fun. If you're small, you're supposed to be getting something out of it, because
Hmm.
obviously people, they're on a different stage where they're not only pleasing themselves anymore, they are actually pleasing other people, they are part of other people's schedule.
Hmm.
Whereas when you're smaller, you're not. So it has to be about the fun and the fulfillment that you get.
Hmm.
And I just found, looking at it, it was grating. I was just like, I actually spend hours doing this, and I just feel, unsatisfied. And it's just like, I shouldn't be looking for an end result. You know what I mean? So I just had to be like, wow, okay,
Right.
reality check. Go away.
That it's really interesting because I have to say, when I first discovered your channel, and I don't, I didn't discover your channel, obviously, right? But I feel like I came across your channel when it was still small enough for and the battery just did a thing. So I'm gonna ask you this question, and then we might have to sign off
Okay.
after. But I discovered your channel when you were still. I mean, you were very very small. You maybe had 100 subscribers, and then suddenly your channel went through a pretty big boom, right? I don't know. I mean, did you? I mean, are you? I feel like you've surpassed a thousand subscribers, or you're on your way there. I've not checked in a little bit, but there was a huge burst of growth suddenly. Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm nearly at 800, and I've never been anything higher than what I am now. I think I'm on 780 or something like that. But there was a moment where I got quite a lot in a very small amount of
Yeah.
time.
So you said
So it's
780.
yeah, I think it's 780.
Yeah. So you're about to bust 1,000. I'm just saying because that happens really
Wait,
suddenly, right? Because like the more people, the more. So I wonder, do you feel like you changed as a content creator when suddenly you realized that there was an audience for your material, and how?
um, actually, I don't think so. I was looking back at older content, and I do realize I'm a bit more strange as a person. I think I got more comfortable, and I think I also got less passionate. So there was like, oh, I'm comfortable doing this, but like, I don't know what's happened to me anymore. You know what I mean? So I don't think the audience
Okay,
changed anything.
wait, hold on a second. I
Um,
just got wind here, and when I get wind, I suddenly can't hear as well. But
okay,
um, speak up a little bit more and repeat the last of that.
okay. I'd say it got more comfortable because once you're on the camera for a while, you get used to it. But I think I became less passionate because when I look back, I was more strange, but I was more nervous. I don't think the audience changed
Okay.
anything. I think it was. I don't think at any point an audience would change anything. I think I would be more motivated to do it if I knew more people were waiting. But apart from that, I don't think that changed anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a small change. Like, say, for example, if it was maybe 20,000, I think there would be a bit of a difference. Um, but I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Well, I'll say this. I hope that, I don't know if this is something that you want for yourself, but I would love to see the effect that having 20,000 subscribers and, regular viewers would do to your channel. I think that
Mm.
there's something really, what I've noticed is that your videos often are very soothing and very centering.
Is
And
it
you
so?
seem to have a gift for being able to present images, to speak in a way, to present ideas in a way that are very, very soothing. And it might have to do with the way that you're a little bit laid back, you know, and you get all scrunchy faced, and I'm a kind of scrunchy faced person too. I don't know if you've noticed that, but those are, to me, those are signals of like someone who's just trying to be casual and trying to create the most casual environment and relaxing environment. And so, um, I would hope that that wouldn't change by having a larger audience. But as I said, I'd love to see you tested in that way.
I mean, I may have misled you. My scrunchy eye thing is not a laid back thing. It is because when I'm looking at the camera, I am essentially partially blind because
Uh huh.
I wear glasses, but I don't wear them while I'm in the zone. I don't know.
Yes, you've actually explained this. You've explained this on the channel. I've seen that video.
I just
It's not, yeah, and I don't, and I, you know, and I wanted to say that it's not that I say that you're doing it because you're trying to get that effect, but the fact
yeah.
that you're willing to have this thing happening while you're making videos and not say editing it out when it happens are what
No,
I
no,
think create that casual atmosphere.
oh, that's good if I'm creating that because I do feel quite casual about it. Like I used to care, like even when I get like a hate comment or something, if I read it after work, I care because I've just dealt with so many rude customers. But any other time, it's like, all right, that's fine, because I just don't
Um,
understand the need to be horrible. So for me, I just rub it off. It's just like
uh huh.
it's like it's wrong phrasing probably. Just
Yeah.
chip it off the shoulders.
Yeah, these are, I mean, because you've talked about these very things on your channel is again one of the reasons that I really enjoy because um, you're not simply just like talking about things that are being presented, but you're kind of just pulling, you're really taking apart your own reality, which I think is something that we all need to become skillful at. Is like looking at the like what is happening right in front of me, and let me analyze this and try to understand a little bit more what this is about. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah. Listen to me. So I am on my I'm on my last legs here, and I do want to have you know, a respectable sign off here.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very grateful to have had an opportunity to just chat with you a little bit today. And I
Absolutely.
will check in. I'm going to be checking in on all of you to see how you're doing and hoping that you will, you know, submit something. I'll make a little bit more of a formal request because I would like to do a video having content creators just talking about why they do it, why they started doing it and why they do it, and have it all compiled in one place.
Okay, yeah,
But
just reach out to me and we can sort something out. That'd be fine by me.
cool.
But yeah,
All right. So
I
that said,
oh
I'm
yeah,
going to say goodbye to you
yeah,
and
yeah.
then sign off. But thank you again for and everyone. This is the Phlegm Face. Do check out their channel on
Thank you.
YouTube.
Thank you very much. See you in a bit.
All right. So y'all, that was a nice little taste, and I hope to continue that conversation and other conversations that were started today. So that's going to be it for this video. Those of you who are catching this on YouTube, like it if you like it, share, comment, and subscribe. This is Reg signing off. Love yourselves, everyone. Peace.